Welcome to City Life. I'm Beverly Thompson. Next month, the long-awaited American Tobacco Trail Bridge over I-40 will be open and ready for use. Joining me to talk about this project and why it's important for Durham and beyond are Beth Timson and Chuck Flink. Beth is the Assistant Director of Durham Parks and Recreation, and Chuck is the Chairman of the East Coast Greenway Alliance Advisory Board. Welcome to you both, and thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Beverly.
Beth, some of our viewers may not really understand the scope of this long-awaited project and its impact on the entire American Tobacco Trail. Can you give us a brief explanation of what it really is?
Well, the American Tobacco Trail is a 22-mile-long trail. It runs between downtown Durham, starts right across the street from the ballpark, and goes all the way to Bonsall, which is a little community in Wake County. On the way, it runs through Durham City, Durham County, Chatham County, the Jordan Lake Reservoir lands, parts of Apex and Cary, and on into Wake County. It touches literally thousands of Triangle residents.
Wow, I bet you most people didn't know that.
I think they don't realize the scope of it.
Yeah. So how will this bridge and trail actually be impacted by the whole Greenway system? I mean, what does it mean for the whole Greenway system?
It's a critical link. It's not only going to bring our Greenway system in Durham up to 30 miles from 25 all at one jump. It is a vital connection between the southern part of the county and all the trail systems north of there and into downtown. I-40 is an impossible barrier for bikes and pedestrians, obviously, and this will fix that.
Okay.
It's great.
All right. So, Chuck, I understand you were one of the people who worked on the master plan for the American Tobacco Trail. What a job.
Right.
Wow. Now, you were involved in this effort more than 20 years ago. Why was this so important, even at that time?
Well, first of all, this is a dream come true to be sitting here today and realizing the bridge is so close to being completed, and then completing all elements of the American Tobacco Trail. You know, we did the plan in 1992. The significance of it at that time, it was the first rail trail project in North Carolina, one of the first in the Southeast. We were plowing, new ground philosophically, as well as trying to convert an old abandoned track into a trail, which people couldn't envision.
Oh, yeah.
They just saw it as being a lot of problems. And I think the project has proven to be a tremendous benefit to the community. One other connection that we didn't envision back in 1992 was the streets of South Point Mall. That's a very important connection into an economic hub of Durham, between the downtown and out there. So there's a lot of changes that have occurred, but it's great to see the project come to fruition.
That's great. So how does the completion of the trail and the bridge impact the entire East Coast Greenway route?
Well, the East Coast Greenway is a 3,000-mile, it's the urban equivalent of the Appalachian Trail. It goes all the way from the Maine Canadian border down to Key West. It goes through major cities, New York, Boston, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and right through Durham. So it's a very significant project. This is the first designated segment of the East Coast Greenway in North Carolina. So it's a very important segment in that regard. And it's also, for the Triangle region, it's part of the Cross Triangle Greenway, which will go all the way from essentially downtown Durham out to the Neuse River and down to basically into Johnson County, into Smithfield.
That is so expansive.
Yes,
I just never realized.
It's a huge system.
Wow. So, Beth, besides the bridge over I-40, this project also encompasses the completion of the trail's southern border, Durham's southern border of that part of the trail. What's the trail system through this area going to look like once it's completed?
Well, if trail users know that right now the trail ends at North Carolina 54 at the shopping center there, this will take it across I-40, through the area of the streets of South Point and onto the Chatham County line. It's another 4.2 miles of trail, actually, and goes, as I said, through some beautiful country there at the Jordan Reservoir lands and some lovely natural areas. So it's 4.2 miles of trail that will be paved and accessible to a lot of people.
Let me ask you a frank question.
Sure.
Okay, there are probably a lot of people who just don't get it. I mean, why are trails so important to a community? I mean, I've seen a whole lot of people who said, oh, it's just a trail. And why are people getting so excited about it?
Well, you may know, Beverly, we've just finished a new Parks and Recreation Master Plan, and part of that we're doing a lot of public surveys, a lot of community meetings. I can tell you that far and away, the number one facility that people wanted were more trails and greenways.
Wow.
A lot of people use them. 90% of the survey respondents said that is their top pick for a facility. Everybody can use them. Transportation, recreation, even the family dog gets to use them with you.
That's true.
I Everybody loves them.
Yeah.
Strollers, rollerblades, bicyclists, walkers, everybody.
Okay, all right, you answered my question. Something there for everybody.
It
huh?
is indeed.
So Chuck, in your opinion then, how is this new bridge and trail going to ultimately impact the connectivity in Durham and beyond?
Well, it's critical for Durham. As Beth has pointed out, there's a whole system of trails in Durham. The American Tobacco Trail has become the primary spine, in my opinion, for Durham's trail system. And there's a lot of links into it. So no matter where you live in Durham, you can get on the entire system, and you can ride down to the streets of South Point Mall on your bike, do some shopping, ride back, or ride into the downtown conversely. As far as the East Coast Greenway and as far as North Carolina goes, we have our Mountains to Sea Trail going east to west across our state, and we have the East Coast Greenway now going north to south through our state, all the way down to Wilmington, and all the way up to Richmond, Virginia. So the American Tobacco Trail, the completion of this bridge, is a very significant project in that regard. We look really at the very, very big picture: east-west travel, north-south travel. Trails are so popular because they're so democratic, and they're basically no cost. You can get on them, you use them, you can get exercise, you can transport yourself, you can get your kids, you can get out and have family time. They're just a wonderful asset for communities to have.
That's great. So Beth, when this bridge is ready to open next month, I understand your department, Durham Parks and Recreation, is involved in a big grand opening. Tell our viewers about this event and when it will take place.
Okay, yes, we are so excited. We're going to have a big party about it. October the 12th, 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock a.m. It's going to be at the streets of South Point near the South Point Cinema. That'll be the base parking lot location. A lot of speakers, a lot of entertainment going to be there. We also plan to have, you can sign up for the Adopt a Park or Adopt a Trail program, the Trail Watch program, get involved with the trails if you want to. And then, of course, the great moment when we cut the ribbon and you can walk across that thing.
Oh, right.
I am excited.
Christen the bridge, huh?
That's right.
All right. So Beth and Chuck, this question is for both of you. If people remember nothing else about the trail and the bridge, what would you want them to take away from this show?
I would say that this has been an incredibly successful partnership. It got started years and years ago by a vision by the Triangle Rails to Trails Conservancy, as Chuck said, when rail trails were just something not many people knew about. We have partnered, the city has partnered with North Carolina State Department of Transportation all along on this project. They have been hand in hand, heart and soul with us on this project, and it has taken all of us to get to where we are.
Okay, Chuck.
And I think this is part of Durham's renaissance. I mean, we look at the American Tobacco campus, we look at the ballpark, we look at DPAC. I put the American Tobacco Trail in that same category of clearly important community betterments and improvements that have made Durham such an exciting place to live, to grow up, to raise a family, to work. I'm proud to be a resident of Durham, and I think this project has gone a long ways to making this a better community.
Great. Thank you both for joining me. I really appreciate it. This is such a great project for our community, and I couldn't have said it better. It really takes our community into the next phase of the greatness of Durham, if you will.
It is.
All right.
Beverly, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Beverly.
you so much. We're going to take a quick break now, but when we come back, we're going to get the inside scoop from the folks who are building this bridge and trail. We'll be right back.
Did you ever think your car could use a little break? You can give it a little rest since there's a bus that you can take. Try Data, sit back and enjoy the ride. There's no need to drive, try Data. Commute a little easier. Try Data, commute a little easier.
Welcome back to City Life. As the grand opening for the new American Tobacco Trail pedestrian bridge over I-40 approaches, many of us are anxiously awaiting our chance to walk over that bridge. Joining me to talk about the nuts and bolts of the project is Ed Venable. Ed is with the city's Public Works Department. Welcome, Ed, and thank you so much for joining me.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Now, Ed, I know your team is responsible for overseeing the construction of this bridge. What is the scope of the project?
We are building the missing link.
Okay.
There's just a 4-mile link that stops at NC 54. So we're picking up from there and taking it across the I-40 highway and getting it down to Chatham County. And that includes an 800-foot bridge that we're putting into place. And it's a tremendous investment into the life of our citizens, just a great trail for them to be able to use. It's about an $11.2 million investment.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's
about most of that, about $7.5 million, is the bridge itself. Then there's probably another $1.5 million in the trail, that 4.2 miles of trail, and then probably another $2 million that we've invested into the professional services. We had to do public input, had to do the design, had to do inspection of the bridge and the trail as it's under construction. So just a tremendous investment for the citizens.
People don't realize everything that goes into putting up a bridge and making sure you can use it. And
I'm looking forward to hopping on it at Horton Road is where I get on the trail. And I can go all the way down to the Chatham County line.
Wow, amazing. Now, I know the construction of the bridge has been underway since late 2012 and it's run into a couple of snags along the way, I've heard. Now, tell our viewers a little bit about why the project is just a tad behind schedule and a bit over budget, I've heard. So are these types of issues and problems normal during a construction of a project as huge as this one?
Oh yeah, this is normal. Construction is hard. We put together plans, but they're just our guess, our best idea of what we're going to encounter. When you actually get out there and you're building and constructing, that's when you really do the real work of figuring out exactly what needs to happen. And so you run into things, and some of the things that you can anticipate, but you know it's coming, is the weather.
Oh yeah.
And we've had a tremendous amount of rain. It was a really wet spring.
Highly unusual.
Yeah, and it's been a wet summer too. I mean, my grass has just been growing like crazy, and I'm having to go out there and mow it all the time. So just dealing with those kinds of issues. And we know those are coming, and so we put additional funding into the project, contingency to take care of those kinds of issues as they come along. But we're on schedule. We're going to have things coming into completion in phases in September and the latter part of October, and we'll be ready to go for that big celebration.
Ready for the grand opening.
October 12th.
Yeah. Now, I know another highly publicized construction issue was the bridge piers and the fact that they were just a tad bit too high. Now, how was this resolved, and did this problem contribute to the delay?
Right. That's just one of those construction problems that you encounter, and it happened to be the one that got the most press, I believe. On both sides of the highway, there's these 4-foot diameter drilled concrete piers. They're just huge, and the bridge sits on top of those. And the ones on the north side ended up being poured a little too high. So we had to stop, drop back. Took about 2 weeks to figure out what we needed to do, chip that concrete down, get them back down to where they needed to be, and we were good to go. And there were all kinds of other problems that just weren't advertised. Those same piers, there turned out to be a void of concrete where we pumped them through and the concrete just didn't fill that. We had to drill down to it and pump it through full of concrete. Also, when we first envisioned building the bridge and we needed to order the steel, we assumed we could get the 3-foot diameter arch tube that goes over I-40.
Yeah.
We assumed we could get that already pre-made. Turns out, because of the economy, we couldn't do that. So we had to figure out how to roll the steel, find somebody else who could weld it together longitudinally, put those together, weld those circumference. So yeah, just all kinds of problems that we had to deal with. But you know, we did. We knew it was coming. We didn't know exactly what problems were coming, but we knew there would be problems.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Now, even before we began construction, speaking of problems, but maybe this wasn't a problem, but there were a lot of starts and stops in getting the project designed and even funded.
Right.
Give us a little bit of that history.
Sure. Public Works got the project in 2010. The first thing we started in was a public comment process. We had a charrette where you could come and tell us what you think the bridge should look like, what it should do, and that's how we came up with that arch shape. Then we embarked on the design process, put the design together, and then in July of 2011, we took those bids in. They came in around $9 million. We were expecting somewhere more like $7.5 million or so. So we need to stop and go find some additional funding. So we went on the hunt. NCDOT is a big contributor to the funding of this. The city is the other major contributor, and we managed to put the funding together that we needed. Went back out for bids. When we got those bids in November of 2011, we're much closer, but there wasn't the required 10% between the estimate and the bid, and so we had to reject those. That was just an NCDOT rule. And so then we did third time's the charm, took those third bids, and that one was good. We got those in February. Put the contractor to work July of 2012. I guess it's been a year now that we've been under construction. And so, yeah, we're moving through that process.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I tell you, what a project. And in April, you got to this major milestone. And tell us a little bit about what happened in April.
Right. And that's when we set the bridge over the highway. It's a huge span, so you can't just build it and put it on a truck and bring it here. It came in pieces. And so the contractor went onto the shoulder of I-40 and built temporary concrete supports that are exact same distance as the permanent ones. And so they assembled the bridge on the side of the road, put the pieces into place, held it up, welded it all together, did all that assembly. And then on that latter part of April night, went out with a huge crane, picked it up. In fact, there were 5 cranes involved.
Wow.
There were 2 on each end that guided it into place while the big one supported it. And then there were 2 smaller support cranes that ran around and picked up things that were just too heavy for folks to handle. So that was the early morning hours on a Sunday. We shut down I-40. Got that in place, got it set, went really well. Had about 50 people out there that came and cheered. So yeah.
At 2 o'clock in the morning.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'd say some pretty ardent supporters.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
wow. I'm always in amazement at engineers when you think about how to put something together like a bridge. I mean, you think it looks simple from the outside, but a lot of work and thought.
Yeah, years of effort to thinking that through to make sure we got it right before we went out there.
Great. So you've already talked a little bit about where we are now with the project, and is it going to be finished by October 12th?
Absolutely. From Renaissance south, the trail is done. People are using it. There's a little missing chunk where it crosses Massey Chapel, where we're just now starting to build a retaining wall that we need there to put that little piece in place. North of Renaissance, this month, you'll see the trail that goes from Renaissance up to the south side of the bridge. First part of next month, you'll see the trail from the north side of the bridge all the way to 54 going into place. Latter part of September, the bridge itself will be complete enough for the workmen to walk on it. We'll have the fencing, the lighting, all that in place. It'll just be the cleanup part. And then part of October, we'll get that retaining wall on Massey Chapel done. So probably first few days in October, it'll all be complete.
Wow. How will that make you feel?
Wonderful. Very good. I'm looking forward to this celebration. I'm going to celebrate.
Now,
I'll be riding my bike.
Okay, all right. So if our viewers want more information about the project and want to get progress reports or look at pictures or videos, where can they go?
Just go to the city's webpage, click on Public Works. When you get there, look on the right-hand side, you'll see a construction projects link. You'll be able to see the American Tobacco Trail and a lot of the other projects that we've got going on.
Great. Any final words?
I'm excited. Bring on the 12th.
All right. Ed, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being with us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Well, that does it for this edition of City Life. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. You can also find us on demand on DTV8's webpage and on YouTube. I'm Beverly Thompson. Thank you for joining me to learn more about City Life in Durham.